At my husband's funeral, I fainted from crying multiple times, only to learn from the lawyer reading the will that he had left all our property to another woman. I thought my husband must have been confused before his death to draft such a baffling will, but then the woman held up her marriage certificate, declaring she was the real Mrs. Fu. Furious and indignant, I produced my own marriage certificate, but at the notary office, I was told my marriage certificate was a forgery. I toiled my whole life for him, bore his children, cared for his parents, and for 10 years when he could no longer care for himself, I tended to his every need, cleaning up after him until he passed away with dignity. In the end, I was reduced to a mistress with no name, no status, no right to inheritance, and no protection under the law. That woman threw me out on the street, leaving me penniless. Just as I was preparing to take legal action, my son conspired with her to poison me on my deathbed. The woman looked at me with smug satisfaction. What a wretched life of toil and suffering. Hurry up and go. Keep serving old Fu for me down there. Only then did I realize that even the son I had cherished for over 20 years was not my own. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the year my husband had his stroke. I told you, I don't want water, get me a beer, are you deaf? The voice of my spouse of 30 or 40 years pierced my eardrums, laced with vile curses. With a loud bang, the enamel mug hit the floor, splashing scalding hot water all over me. The sudden scalding jolt snapped me to attention. Staring at the youthful-looking Fu Jiangwo, I realized I had been reborn, and reborn in the very year he suffered a cerebral infarction and was left paralyzed in bed. At that moment, he was still grumbling on, "You're living off my pension and can't even do a damn thing right. Is it really so hard to just get me a beer?" I gingerly touched my reddened, scalded skin, sucking in a sharp breath through my teeth. Just then, my son Fu Bo walked in and saw what was happening. He raised his voice and said, "Mom, what kind of care is this? Dad is unwell. How could you deliberately upset him and make his condition worse?" I was left speechless with anger. In my past life, this ungrateful wretch had sided with his father to bully me, yet, I foolishly believed that if I treated them with genuine kindness, even the coldest heart could be warmed. Unfortunately, I was wrong. Before his stroke, Fu Jiangwo was one of the most educated people in the factory, a university graduate with knowledge and skill. Even after retirement, the factory rehired him, and he continued to earn a relatively high salary. Yet, I never got to enjoy a single penny of that money. When we were young, he sent most of it to his parents, saying they had suffered and struggled their whole lives in the countryside. I believed him. Later, when our son grew up, he transferred the money to him, saying he was an adult now and needed it to get married and buy a house. I believed him again. Our family of 3 managed to scrape by, relying solely on my meager monthly salary and pension, living frugally to make ends meet. After his stroke, even as his temper grew worse, I endured it for the sake of our decades of marriage, understanding that his illness made him prone to irritability. To avoid upsetting him and worsening his condition, I tended to him carefully until he passed away. So it turns out, in the end, both his salary and his pension ended up in the hands of his colleague, Zhang Lan. All my efforts over the past 10 years were for nothing. I've been wasting my time. Mom, stop spacing out and clean this up. Can't you see the floor's soaked? And Dad's mattress is wet again. Hurry up and change it. Wang Huixin, don't you dare push your luck. Get me a clean pair of underwear. Now, you're such a lazy good-for-nothing. I must have been blind to marry you. You're utterly useless, worse than a pig, stupid, clumsy, and just a waste of the country's resources. I watched Fu Bo order me around like a servant. I watched my husband sit back, fully expecting me to wait on him hand and foot, only to curse me for my efforts. And that homewrecker, Zhang Lan, she got all the money, free from the burdens of raising children or tending to a husband, living a life of luxury and carefree indulgence every single day. Yet after a lifetime of backbreaking work, I was not only trapped in a sham marriage, but also thrown out of the home I'd lived in for decades. Left penniless, my existence became worse than that of a stray dog. In the end, afraid I'd take them to court and expose the truth, they actually conspired to poison me, leaving me to die in agony. Thinking of all this, a surge of white-hot rage burned through me. Screw this job. Whoever wants to do it can have it. I'm out, too. My words burst out, and both father and son were stunned. They never expected that I, who had always been so submissive, would ever blow up like this. Fu Jiangwo was trembling with rage, pointing his finger right at my face and started yelling, "You wicked woman, I can see right through your scheming heart. Are you trying to drive me to an early grave just to get your hands on my estate?" I scoffed inwardly. This apartment was originally allocated by my workplace. Somehow, he managed to secretly transfer the deed at some point. And after his death, he left the property to Zhang Lan. I've never taken a single penny of his salary, in this entire house. Is there even a dime of savings that belongs to him, even the money for his hospital stay when he was sick? I scraped it together by doing odd jobs and borrowing from relatives and friends. Our son also flew into a rage. Mom, have you lost your mind? If you drive Dad to a breakdown, do you really think you'll have an easy life? Nonsense. My happy life will only begin again once I leave this old scumbag. Without a word, I strode to his bedside, picked up the soiled trousers he'd changed out of, reeking of urine, and flung them over his head. I've gone mad. You've all driven me mad, I continued, my eyes blazing red. Fu Jiangwo, from now on, your shit, your piss, your every bodily function has nothing to do with me. Fu Jiangwo's hand trembled as he pointed at me. I had never seen him so furious in my entire life. You're truly vicious, Wan Huixin. After I die, don't you dare think you'll get a single cent from me. The mention of money only stoked my fury. I grabbed his old shoe insert and started whacking him across the face with it. I hit him until he was howling for mercy, and my son watched in terror. He shoved me away in a panic. Mom, this is abuse. I could report you and have you thrown in jail. Throw me in jail. I stared him down. This was the person I'd slaved over for more than 20 years to raise, just like his father, utterly heartless, like father, like son, a real family, hearts beating as one, I said with thinly veiled sarcasm. Fu Bo caught the edge in my voice. His eyes darted away, unable to meet my gaze. Mom, what are you talking about? We're family. I was just stressed and spoke out of turn earlier. Dad's counting on you for his later years. I have to work and don't have the time. Don't be mad. Finish tidying up and start dinner. I'm hungry. I'm craving your braised chicken wings. In my past life, no matter what wrong my son did, I would always soften up the moment he acted cute. But now, seeing his scheming expression and his phony performance of mother-son affection, I just feel sick. You ungrateful brat, you side with your father to bully me, and you still expect my braised chicken wings, in your dreams. With that, I turned and walked straight into my room. I took out the property deed, and seeing my name still on it, I breathed a huge sigh of relief. Then, I found a spot and hid it away in secret. Little did I know, early the next morning, a crowd was already pounding on my front door. When I opened the door, I saw that my husband's entire extended family had shown up. They rushed straight to my husband's room, and immediately launched into a torrent of accusations against me. I can't believe you'd really treat my nephew this way. I didn't quite believe it when your son called me, but you're quite the actress, aren't you? Playing the devoted wife all these years. His aunt looked at me with disdain. You think she did it for nothing? Jiangwo was a senior engineer before he got sick, with a very high salary. She certainly didn't lose out. Seeing his relatives arrive, Fu Jiangwo began wailing and sobbing, pounding the quilt with tears streaming down his face. Aunt, uncle, you have to stand up for me. I've worked hard my whole life, and now that I'm sick, this wicked woman is tormenting me. I can't eat, I can't sleep, she just wants me dead. I never imagined that after living the first half of my life with such dignity, I'd end up being destroyed by this vicious woman. What a wretched, humiliating end. I might as well be dead. Fu Bo then jumped in. You're all elders to my father. You must stand up for him. They say a husband and wife are like birds in the same forest. When disaster strikes, each flies away. It couldn't be more true. I never thought my own mother could commit such a heinous, heartless act. She's utterly unworthy of being a mother. The commotion inside drew the neighbors, seeing Fu Jiangwo sitting in his own filth, neglected, and hearing his son confirm my wrongdoing firsthand. They immediately shot me looks of utter contempt. Who would have thought? She always seemed so sweet and gentle. How could she possibly mistreat her own husband? Sigh. You never really know what's in someone's heart. Putting on a show in public while acting differently behind closed doors is all too common. Just then, my husband's colleague, Zhang Lan, showed up at the door with some fruit. As she stepped inside, she pretended to speak up for me. Everyone, let's not jump to conclusions. None of you actually saw what happened. What if Sister Hui was just busy and couldn't tidy up for Jiangwo right away? That's perfectly understandable. She's only got 2 hands and is constantly running around. It's not easy for her. That's just how two-faced she is, all sweet and sensible in public, but sharp-tongued and mean behind people's backs. Simply because Fu Jiangwo was a capable man, she actively pursued him not long after arriving at the factory, and they were together in no time to cover up the scandal of having a child out of wedlock. On the very day my own baby died at birth, they handed me their newborn son, claiming he was mine, and that lie was kept up for over 20 years, free from the burdens of childcare and living comfortably off Fu Jiangwo's salary. She looked at least a decade younger than me. Despite being the same age, hearing her considerate words, Fu Jiangwo immediately responded, Zhang Lan, You're just too kind-hearted, always seeing the best in people. Look at this. Dried urine stain on the pants. It's clearly not a matter of a momentary oversight. She glanced at the urine stain, covering her nose in disgust. Sigh, sis, I really have to say something about this. Before she could finish, I slapped her across the face. Who do you think you are, you little slut? My family's business is none of your concern. For she never expected me to slap her out of the blue and was completely stunned, seeing me hit his mother. My son quickly shielded her behind him. What's gotten into you this early in the morning? All of you, uncles, aunts, relatives, you all saw it. My mother is nothing but a shrew, completely unreasonable. If she can carry on like this right in front of you, just imagine how much my father has suffered in private. She doesn't even deserve to be called a decent person. Hearing her son defend her like that and hurl insults at me, a smug, triumphant smile spread across Zhang Lan's face. Fu Jiangwo also looked at his son with satisfaction, inwardly nodding in approval of his cleverness. This kind of high and mighty moral condemnation could ruin my reputation in the neighborhood in no time. I turned my head to look at my son, who was hurling insults at me. Fine, since you think so little of me, why don't we just cut ties? From now on, you go your way, and I'll go mine. Hearing me speak such harsh words, my son was visibly stunned, but with so many people watching, refusing would have made him lose face. He glanced back at his father. Seeing the nod of approval, he finally felt secure in his decision. Fine, let's cut ties then. I still have Dad and Aunt Lon. That's far better than being stuck with a spiteful, lonely woman like you. Having said that, he stormed back to his study and returned shortly after, thrusting the severance declaration into my hands. Sign it. I've already signed. Seeing that Fu Bo had completely severed ties with me, Zhang Lan's eyes instantly welled up with tears. It's all right, dear. Don't be afraid. From now on, Auntie Lon will be your mother. I'll take good care of you. Witnessing the poignant scene before them, the onlookers all began to criticize me. I never imagined there could be a woman so heartless in this world, treating her husband poorly and even abandoning her own son. Exactly, how does she manage to do so many terrible things without batting an eye? She's certainly not your average person, not average. More like she's got a hide thicker than leather. I couldn't be bothered with these people who had no idea what they were talking about. Just as I was about to leave, Zhang Lan grabbed my arm. You think you can just leave? Look at this filthy mess of a house. Aren't you going to clean it up? Jiang Wo was your husband. After all, he worked himself to the bone to provide for this family when he was young, letting you live comfortably for decades. Don't you owe it to him to take care of him now? Have you no conscience? Besides, even if you've cut ties with your son, you're still Jiang Wo's wife. It's your duty to look after him. My duty, I said with a cold laugh. I think the person who really has that duty might be someone else. Seeing the meaningful look in my eyes, she took 2 steps back. What are you implying? What do you mean? Don't play dumb with me. I threw down the marriage certificate I dug up last night, fighting back tears. Is this what you call your duty? This fake certificate is all the proof anyone needs of your shameless, underhanded collusion. 5 Zhang Lan's eyes darted nervously. What on earth are you talking about? I don't understand a word of it. Fu Jiangwo sat bolt upright in bed. Have you lost your mind? If you don't want to take care of me, just say so. Why are you pulling out our marriage certificate? Are you trying to divorce me? Hearing this, their son quickly seized the opportunity to fan the flames. Uncles and aunties, she's truly heartless. My father supported her for decades, and now that he's old and can't take care of himself, she just whips out the marriage certificate and wants a divorce. After hearing Fu Bo's tearful account, people couldn't help but pity the child and were outraged by what I had done. As a woman, you're abandoning both your son and your husband. What on earth are you trying to pull? Are you even human? Everyone grows old someday. By doing this, you're breaking your son's heart. Don't expect him to take care of you in the future. You'll get what's coming to you. Seeing that no one believed me, I produced the certificate from the marriage registry. Take a good look, all of you. This marriage certificate of mine is a fake. Do you have any idea what that means? It means all these years of my feelings, my marriage, were built on a foundation of lies. This man, lying helpless in bed, whom I never once looked down upon, he deceived me for over 20 years. If it were you, could you bear it? Everyone was stunned when they saw the document stamped with the red seal. No way. Fu Jiangwo always seemed like such a decent guy. How could he be a marriage fraudster? Oh my. If that's true, no wonder she doesn't want to take care of him. If my husband pulled a stunt like that, forget taking care of him, I'd go even further. I'd send him straight to meet his maker with one swift cut. Seeing that I had uncovered the truth, Fu Jiangwo looked at me with great effort. You wretched woman. If you don't want to serve me anymore, just say so. There's no need to ruin my reputation. I, Fu Jiangwo, have always walked the straight and narrow. I don't know anything about any fake marriage certificate. Zhang Lan had calmed down by now and, feigning concern, took my hand to mediate. Sis, I know you're just speaking in anger. How could you possibly throw away all those years of marital affection in your heart? Let it go, let it go. What happens between husband and wife in the bedroom stays in the bedroom. Once it's over, it's over. Seeing her put on such a hypocritical act, I can't just let this slide. Zhang Lan, do you really think I don't know about that little mess you've got going on with Fu Jiangwo? Hearing the insinuation in my words, everyone immediately perked up their ears, their faces lighting up with gossipy curiosity. Zhang Lan looked somewhat embarrassed. She let out a couple of awkward chuckles and said, "Oh, Sister Hui, since Brother Su and I work at the same factory, it's only natural we'd be in close contact. I completely understand why you might get the wrong idea, and I'll be more careful from now on, but please, don't let this come between you two. I'd never forgive myself if I caused trouble in your marriage." Her words were so reasonable and heartfelt that everyone around nodded in agreement, thinking she was very sensible. "Oh, so we're just putting on a little impromptu performance here, are we?" I wasn't having any of it. I snatched the bag right out of Zhang Lan's hands and rummaged through it, pulling out a marriage certificate. "Still playing dumb with me, Zhang Lan, if I don't slap that smug look right off your face today. My name isn't Wang." 6. Seeing the marriage certificate hit the floor, Zhang Lan panicked instantly. Before she could even reach for it, the person standing closest snatched it up as if they'd struck gold. They shouted, "Look, everyone, this marriage certificate is between Fu Jiangwo and her, not Wang Huixin." "Oh my god, so you're saying Fu Jiangwo really got married twice, once to Wang Huixin and once to Zhang Lan? That's just awful. No wonder he's bedridden. It's karma." Seeing them all speak up for me, I said gratefully, "Thank you for speaking up for me. I, Wang Huixin, married him and toiled for half a lifetime, only for him to pull this stunt. First, he held a wedding banquet with me and tricked me with a fake marriage certificate. Then he turned around and legally married Zhang Lan. That's bigamy. I'm going to sue him." Hearing that I was going to sue his father, Fu Bo got scared. Terrified that a bigamy charge would ruin his own future, he quickly grabbed my arm. Mom, let's talk this out. We're family. There's no need for lawsuits. Do you really want to give the neighbors a show?" I rolled my eyes and shook off his hand. "Who's your mother? We already cut ties just now." Seeing how resolutely I was drawing a line, for the sake of his own future, even if he was fuming inside, his words were still very ingratiating. "Mom, whether you acknowledge me or not, I am still your son." That declaration to sever ties was truly an impulsive mistake on my part. "I'm sorry, please, just drop it." Just as he was grappling with me, Zhang Lan's eyes darted around. She then plopped down on the ground and began wailing in protest. "Sister Hui, if you really hate me, come at me directly. Why go to the trouble of forging a document and slipping it into my bag when I wasn't looking? Ruining my reputation is one thing, but your husband, Fu Jiangwo, is one of the top engineers in the factory. Where is he supposed to put his face after this?" Hearing how, even after I'd smeared her name, she was still concerned about Fu Jiangwo's reputation, some people were moved by her apparent magnanimity. Their gazes toward me once again turned critical. After listening, Fu Bo also had a sudden realization. "Oh, so that's how it is. I was wondering how you knew so well that there was a marriage certificate in Aunt Lan's bag. You planted it there yourself, didn't you? My Aunt Lan is gentle and beautiful, and you're just jealous of her, right?" Fu Jiangwo's face flushed crimson with rage. "How utterly malicious. You actually fabricated a fake certificate and slipped it into Xiao Lan's bag. What on earth were you trying to achieve, Wang Huixin? I've always believed I've treated you well, been good to our son, and taken responsibility for this family. Why must you always stir up trouble?" Seeing Fu Jiangwo speak up for her, Zhang Lan quickly put on her peacemaker act again. "Sister Hui, Jiangwo has worked hard his whole life. It's heartbreaking to see him suffer like this in his old age. As his wife, it's only right you take on a bit more. We all need to show a little compassion." As she was speaking, a foul odor suddenly began to fill the room. 7. It turned out he had soiled the bed again. Even with Fu Jiangwo's thick skin, being put on the spot in front of so many people was starting to get to him. I quickly turned to Zhang Lan. "What was that you just said? That anyone with a heart would feel bad, that people need compassion? Well then, why don't you clean up after him?" Zhang Lan hadn't expected me to make such a demand and was left flustered and speechless. Her eyes betrayed an unmistakable flicker of disgust, yet her tone remained perfectly cordial. "Oh, you're already so suspicious about my relationship with Brother Fu. If I get involved now, wouldn't that just give you even more to stew about, and give the neighbors more to gossip about too? Right, you're his wife, it's only right and proper for you To handle this, I'm just an outsider, so it's better if I don't." As she spoke, she edged toward the door. The increasingly pungent smell was more than she could bear. Seeing her reluctance, I quickly turned my gaze to my son. "Didn't you say I was heartless and unwilling to take care of your father? Since you're so filial, why don't you do it? Hurry up and carry him to the bathroom to get cleaned up." Fubo hadn't expected my criticism to be redirected at him so quickly, though he was utterly unwilling. With so many people present, he couldn't refuse. Fighting back the urge to gag, he carried his father on his back into the bathroom. The moment I stepped into the bathroom, I caught the venomous glare Fu Jianguo shot my way. He hated me for making him lose face in front of everyone, for stripping him of all dignity before the woman he loved most, but I couldn't have cared less. A little over 10 minutes later, his son carried a clean Fu Jianguo back to his bed. Fu Jianguo glared at me with a chilling intensity. "If you're so unwilling to live with me, fine by me. I still have my son, after all." Upon hearing his father's words, Fu Bo sprang to his feet. "I have to work. When would I have time to take care of you? Besides, I'm your only child. If I don't have a future, we'll both be left with nothing." Seeing the situation turn sour and fearing Fu Jianguo would try to pin the blame on her, Zhang Lan quickly spoke up. "Oh, shoot. I just remembered something I have to do at home. I've got to run." Then, after shooting Fu Jianguo a look of utter disgust, she turned to leave. I quickly stepped in front of her to block her path. "You think you can just leave before we've settled the matter of the marriage certificate?" She let out a couple of dry, humorless laughs. "Sister Hui, I know you framed me out of jealousy, a momentary lapse in judgment, but I'm the bigger person here. I'm willing to let it go. So why are you still clinging to me and won't let up?" Well, so you two are actually married, and yet you look down on him so much." I sneered at Fu Jianguo. "Is this the woman you send money to every month? Do you see her lifting a finger to take care of you?" Seeing the woman he loved being cornered by me like this, Fu Jianguo gritted his teeth in fury. "I've told you already, there's nothing going on between me and Xiaolin. Stop making a scene and let her go home." 8. "Nothing going on," I burst out laughing. "Colleagues with a marriage certificate, who do you think you're kidding?" I showed everyone the bank transfer records. Now, who can still claim their relationship is completely innocent? If you call that innocent, then I suppose Shimin Qing and Pan Jinlian were innocent too. Everyone was shocked to see the fixed monthly transfer amounts. Realizing Fu Jianguo's treatment of Zhang Lan was anything but ordinary, who would believe there wasn't something fishy going on between the two of them? Under the weight of everyone's scornful gazes, Zhang Lan began to stammer. This is, staring at the irrefutable evidence. She racked her brains but couldn't come up with a single excuse. Everyone could see what was going on. "Alright, Zhang Lan, drop the act. At your age, everyone knows what this means." "Exactly, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I always wondered how you could afford new clothes and shoes every other day on a factory salary. Turns out it's all from Engineer Fu's paycheck. TSK, and you have the nerve to submit party membership applications for 3 years running. Give me a break. A homewrecker like you isn't fit for it." Driven to a corner by the insults, Zhang Lan finally dropped the pretense and went all out. She was hopping with rage, shrieking, "So what? He's willing to spend money on me, which proves I've got what it takes. Wang Huixin can't even keep her own husband in check. That's her own incompetence. Who's she to blame? She's a slob all day, stuck to the kitchen stove, with zero femininity. She deserves to be husbandless." Hearing her brag so shamelessly about being the other woman, many of the women present were rolling up their sleeves, ready to throw a punch. "Have you no shame? Huixin's family is struggling so much, with the elderly sick and her husband paralyzed. How can you possibly have the nerve to ask for Jianguo's money, after all the wicked things you've done? Aren't you afraid of being struck down by lightning?" Zhang Lan scoffed lightly. "Why should I be afraid? I didn't steal, rob, or swindle to get this money. I came by it honestly. All you angry women are just jealous of me." With that, she strode over to me in her high heels and said with a haughty air, "Let me tell you something. Don't you dare be jealous of me. If you've got what it takes, make him spend money on you, you old hag. As if you're even worthy." I slapped her across the face. "Whether I'm worthy or not isn't for you to decide." Seeing me strike his beloved woman, Fu Jianguo was so furious he could barely stay in bed, itching to kick me. "You shrew, I want a divorce." Fu Bo rushed over as well. "Go ahead, try hitting her again. Even though he's not my biological child, I've still poured my heart and soul into raising him for over 20 years. Watching him confront me so aggressively on her behalf chilled me to the bone. "What? Are you actually going to hit me?" 9. Fu Bo was intimidated by my ferocity. He stiffened his neck and retorted, well, you still can't just hit people for no reason." She wrecked my home, seduced my husband, and stole money from my family. What? She doesn't deserve to be hit, I shot back. You're defending her so fiercely. What? Are you her son or something? Upon hearing this, Zhang Lan's face instantly changed. I'm warning you, Wang Huixin, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say whatever you want. First, you spread rumors about me marrying your husband, and now you're insinuating he's my son. A person's patience has its limits, Fu Bo also argued defensively. Even if you disown me, cut all ties, and refuse to acknowledge me as your son, you have no right to casually slander me as a bastard. Speaking like that is utterly irresponsible. The onlookers began to murmur among themselves. Oh dear, they've admitted to the affair. Who's to say they didn't end up with a son? Exactly. Take a closer look. Fu Bo's eyes and brows really do bear a resemblance to Zhang Lan's. Zhang Lan's face fell as she listened to their wild speculations. Don't jump to conclusions. We're in love, but they had a child long ago. I certainly don't have a son that old. Fu Jiangwo glared darkly at the onlookers gathered at the door. Don't you all have anything better to do? Had your fill of gossip. Get lost. I'm not well and need to rest. Seeing he was about to throw me out, I knew he didn't want that last shred of dignity to be stripped away, but at this point, I had to avenge my past self and demand justice for all these years of a marriage endured in humiliation. Fu Jiangwo, do you really think today's farce is over? Then, I produced another document. This is a paternity test I had done, comparing a single long hair I found on your suit with Fu Bo's hair. It proves the owner of that hair is Fu Bo's biological mother. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. So the child I've worked so hard to raise shares no blood with me at all. Fu Jiangwo, you are truly despicable. You've been having an affair for over 20 years and made me raise your bastard son. The aunties and older sisters who had held back earlier were now utterly enraged. The moment I finished speaking, they set upon Zhang Lan, pummeling her with punches and kicks until she was howling in agony. She lay on the ground, pleading desperately, but no one came to her aid, nor did anyone speak up for her. In no time at all, her clothes were in disarray and her face was bruised and swollen. But this gang of women wasn't satisfied yet, continuing to beat her while hurling insults. That shameless, husband-stealing tramp should be thrown out of the factory immediately, or she'll ruin the whole moral atmosphere here. Getting pregnant before marriage is a complete disgrace. We're going to report this and demand the higher-ups cut off Fu Jiangwo's pension. Using that money to support a mistress shows how morally bankrupt he is. Unable to bear the beating any longer, Zhang Lan cried out in anguish. I'm not the other woman, I am Fu Jiangwo's real wife. I have every right to his money, and the son I bore him is not a bastard. Please, just leave me alone. 10. Hearing her admit it herself, Fu Jiangwo had no choice but to silently acquiesce and fell quiet. Everyone present was stunned. Theirs is the real certificate. That marriage license in Wang Huixin's hands is obviously fake. My God, that adulterous pair are absolutely despicable. Exactly, Fu Jiangwo ruined her entire life, never even gave her a proper title in the end, and still expects her to wait on him hand and foot every day. Where in the world do you find a deal that sweet? The angrier they talked, the angrier they got. They laid into Zhang Lan on the ground, beating her so badly she wailed and screamed for dear life. Fu Jiangwo, lying helpless in bed, could only watch in agony as Zhang Lan was beaten to a pulp. Fu Bo wanted to step in and help, but with the overwhelming number of assailants, he could only stand by and watch. Everyone was exhausted from all the shouting and fighting, and only then did they think to pick up the phone and call the police. Soon after, the police arrived. Zhang Lan rushed toward them as if they were long-lost family and proceeded to accuse everyone present. Unfortunately, justice was not on her side. The officer took both of our marriage certificates in hand, carefully compared them, and then nodded. Fu Jiangwo, you are indeed guilty of bigamy. You'll have to come with us. Hearing he might go to jail, Fu Jiangwo immediately started playing the victim. Officers, have a heart. Look at me. I'm bedridden. Can't you show some mercy and let me off? I sneered. Fu Jiangwo, did you ever show me any mercy when you were doing all those shameful things? Being sick doesn't absolve you of the crimes you committed, the officer replied impassively. The prison has its own infirmary. You can spend your retirement years there in peace. Upon hearing their words, Fu Jiangwo's face turned ashen. A week later, after they had fully investigated the matter, Zhang Lan was also swiftly arrested. As an accomplice, she was guilty of failing to report what she knew. Not long after, the court's verdict came down. Fu Jiangwo was sentenced to 5 years, and Zhang Lan to 1. Later, it was said that Fu Jiangwo, whose health was already poor, was shunned by everyone in prison. Without proper care, he soon fell ill again and passed away. After his death, Fu Bo didn't even go to claim the body, his former relatives, having witnessed him obtain a sham marriage certificate with me, were too ashamed to associate with him and cut off all contact. In the end, it was the prison staff who took responsibility for having him cremated and buried with both his parents in prison. Fu Bo's life was tough. Many state-owned enterprises wouldn't even consider hiring him once they heard about his family background. He had no choice but to toil away at odd jobs just to put food on the table. Later, he came looking for me again, kneeling and begging for forgiveness, but I felt not a shred of pity. Let bygones be bygones. Today is a new beginning. I kept my house and finally got Fu Jiangwo out of my life. I finally have time to do the things I love. When it's time to work out, I work out. When it's time to enjoy myself, I enjoy myself. Life is long, and I'm going to make up for all the regrets from my past life. The end. Story 2. Xiaoya, he whispered, his voice so low only the two of us could hear. Sign it, do it for me. His finger tapped the signature line on the consent form. It was still blank. Wanwan can't wait much longer, he added. Wanwan, Lin Wanwan. That name was like a poison-tipped needle. It pierced my eardrum without warning. I know her, the indelible vermilion mark on Zhou Yuchuan's heart. His first love, the greatest regret of his life. Is her condition serious? I asked. My voice came out hoarse, unfamiliar even to myself. Leukemia, acute, the doctor said. A bone marrow transplant is her last hope. Zhou Yuchuan's voice carried a carefully measured gravity. He reached out, intending to take my hand where it rested on my knee. My fingertips were ice cold. I instinctively curled in on myself. I avoided it. His movements faltered slightly. A faint, almost imperceptible shadow seemed to pass through his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by concern. I know this isn't fair to you, he sighed. He wearily pressed his fingers against his temples. But this is a matter of life and death, a human life. Xiaoya, we are husband and wife. He looked at me, his gaze profound. My affairs are your affairs. My regrets are your regrets too, right? Do it for my sake. One last time, help me. His voice was low, carrying a mesmerizing power. This power, for the past 6 years, countless times, I was the one who had to compromise, from a pampered young lady of the Su family to a Mrs. Zhou, forever tied to the kitchen stove. I washed my hands to prepare his meals. I tempered all my edges for him. I gave up everything for him, all because he said he loved me. I need a warm and loving home, a gentle and virtuous wife. I did it. I thought this was happiness until this very moment. This thin sheet of paper, like a sharp blade, it slices through the facade of tender affection, revealing the cold, piercing calculation beneath. Why me? I looked into his eyes, trying to find a trace of guilt in them or something else. The matching results show that yours is the only suitable one, he explained smoothly. The odds are that high. Yeah. He gave a wry smile, tugging at the corner of his mouth. See, it's fate. Providence probably thinks it's up to you to make up for my regrets. Make up for. That phrase, like a red-hot branding iron, seared into my heart, sizzling. What if? I heard my own hollow voice say. I don't sign. The air froze in an instant. The tenderness on Zhou Yuchuan's face slowly peeled away like a mask, revealing the true, impatient color beneath. He stared at me. His gaze was icy. Su Xiaoya. For the first time, he called me by my full name. Every word was laced with frost. Think carefully. Wanwan is in the intensive care unit right now. Without a suitable bone marrow match, she won't last 3 months. How can you bear to watch someone lose their life because of you? Where is your conscience? Emotional blackmail. He's a master at it. He used to do it to my family, friends, and business partners. Now it's my turn. Sign it. His tone brooked no argument, laced with command. Picked up the pen again, forced it into my hand. Do it for us, for this family. Don't make me think less of you. He moved closer. His breath brushed against my ear. It's warm, but my heart is cold. Think of Dad's company, he whispered, like a lover's murmur, yet every word pierced my heart. You just landed that government project, didn't you? What a fantastic opportunity. Don't let some trivial matter jeopardize the bigger picture. Dad's health isn't great either. He can't handle any more stress, right? Could you really bear to see a lifetime of his hard work go down the drain? Because of a moment of your recklessness, a blatant threat, using my father, using his life's work, using the entire Su family to force me into submission. So that's how it is. My once tender and considerate husband had long since turned into a venomous serpent coiled beside me, poised to strike a fatal blow at any moment, all to save the one who held the moonlight in his heart. I held the pen. The metal barrel of the pen dug painfully into my palm, the clamor of voices all around, the sound of cart wheels scraping across the floor, the footsteps of the nurse, they all gradually faded into the distance. Nothing remained in the world but this sheet of paper, the blank signature line on the paper. Zhou Yuchuan's gaze, like two grappling hooks, was locked firmly on me, waiting for me to put pen to paper, waiting for me to yield. My throat tightened, my stomach churned, a wave of nausea washed over me. I need to use the restroom. I shot to my feet. The movement was too abrupt. He bumped into the trash can beside him it landed with a loud clatter. Zhou Yuchuan frowned. Are you alright? He asked, his tone feigning concern. I didn't have time to answer. I practically stumbled into the nearby women's restroom. I locked the door behind me, shutting out the world outside, shutting out his disgusting gaze. The icy cold faucet turned on, the sound of rushing water. I cupped my hands, scooping up the cold water and splashing it over my face again and again, trying to quell the fire in my heart. Look up, look. Into the mirror. The face was deathly pale, devoid of any color. Dark, heavy shadows lay beneath the eyes. The gaze was hollow like an empty shell, a body drained of its soul. This is what 6 years of love has come to. The man who gave everything, with my health, with my father's legacy, to save the life of his first love. On what grounds? Just because I'm his wife. All because of I love you, so I'm just supposed to give everything. The churning in my stomach grew more violent. A surge of sour liquid rose in my throat. I doubled over. I retched violently over the sink. Nothing comes up, only a burning, searing pain. It's been days. This inexplicable, sickening feeling, it has been haunting me like an ominous shadow. I gripped the cold ceramic edge, gasping for air. My gaze accidentally swept over the nearby trash can, a discarded little white box. Half of it was sticking out. It looked very familiar. My heart skipped a beat. It missed a beat. Without warning, my hands were trembling. I fished it out of the trash. It's the box for a pregnancy test. It's empty. The test inside has probably been used. It's not in the trash can. It might have been taken by the cleaner. Who was it? Why was it left here? The thought grew wildly, like weeds, out of control. A strange impulse drove me. I pulled open the bathroom door. On the bench in the hallway outside, Zhou Yuchuan isn't here, probably off handling some business or off to see his one true love. My steps were unsteady. It feels like walking on cotton wool. Walked to the pharmacy at the end of the corridor next to the vending machine. There are a few self-service medical equipment vending kiosks. Fingertips are cold. Swipe on the touchscreen. Find the thing you need. Scan the QR code. Payment. Clang. Something dropped into the pickup chute. A brand new pregnancy test. The packaging was intact. I clutched it tightly, as if it were a lifeline or a verdict from an unknown fate. Back in that cramped little cubicle again. I locked the door. The world was completely shut out. All that remained was the sound of my own heartbeat in the cramped space, thumping loudly, deafening. Open the package, take out that little plastic stick, follow the instructions. Then it's a long wait. Every second stretched into infinity. It felt as long as a century. My back was pressed against the icy door. I closed my eyes. I couldn't bear to look. Zhou Yuchuan's icy, threatening words, my father's increasingly stooped figure, those shareholders in the company, watching like hungry tigers. And then there's Lin Wanwan, the one lying in the hospital bed, the woman waiting for my bone marrow to save her life, the woman Zhou Yuchuan holds closest to his heart. They spun before my eyes like scenes from a revolving lantern. A wave of nausea rose in my stomach again. I covered my mouth. I fought it back. Time's up. I took a deep breath. Slowly, I opened my eyes. My gaze fell to my hands, to the small display window. My vision blurred for a moment. I blinked hard. I looked again, focusing intently. Everything was perfectly clear. 2 lines, vivid red, blinding, like 2 tongues of flame, seared into my eyes. My mind a complete blank. Pregnant, me, Su Jiaya, in the 6th year of my marriage to Zhou Yuchuan. After our countless attempts, I've seen countless specialists, I've swallowed countless bitter tonics. After being told my chances of conceiving naturally were extremely low, my heart turned to ashes. Just as I was about to resign myself to fate, I'm pregnant. A profound sense of absurdity, intertwined with overwhelming, dizzying joy, it washed over me in an instant. The blood rushed to my head. My hands and feet went numb. I covered my mouth, afraid I might scream out loud. Tears welled up without warning, scalding hot. They trailed down my icy cheeks, dripping onto the back of my hand, smashing against the cold floor tiles. I crouched down, huddled in the corner. My shoulders are trembling uncontrollably. How long has it been? I've been waiting for this moment. How long did you wait? From holding on to hope, to facing repeated disappointments, and finally, to utter despair. I thought I would never have a child of my own, so Zhou Yuchuan suggested adoption. I hesitated, but I still refused. I just felt, not my own flesh and blood. There's a hole in my heart, and now, is this some kind of cruel joke? At this very moment, when I was driven into a corner to sacrifice my own health to save another, just as I saw the monstrous face beneath my husband's mask of hypocrisy. Give me a child, my hand out of control. She gently placed a hand on her flat stomach. Right here, a tiny life was growing inside, mine and Zhou Yuchuan's child. No, it's my child, and mine alone. Zhou Yuchuan. The name felt like a bucket of ice water dumped right over my head. It instantly doused every last flame of elation, leaving only a bone-chilling cold. He forced me to donate bone marrow. At that very moment, right at this instant, he forced me to sign that consent form, donating bone marrow. What does it mean for a pregnant woman? A significant risk, the possibility of miscarriage. Even endangering myself, these thoughts slithered into my mind like venomous snakes, gnawing at my nerves. He knew full well how difficult it was for us to conceive. He knows exactly how much the child means to me. He Doesn't know I'm pregnant, right? He still doesn't know. I didn't tell him either. The moment that thought arose, fear coiled around my heart like a vine. What if he finds out? Will he change his mind? Would he give up on saving his first love? Would he do it for me and our child and abandon Lin Wanwan? I leaned against the cold stall door, gasping for air, trying to untangle this mess. Zhou Yuchuan, the man who threatened me with my father's company, the man who considered Lin Wanwan the regret of his life, the man who professed his love for me, yet, without hesitation, he pushed me forward as a sacrificial lamb to save himself. What choice will he make? The answer, it seemed cold and clear, like the sword of Damocles hanging over his head. I pulled out my phone, my fingers trembled. I dialed Zhou Yuchuan's number. It rang twice before being answered. Xiaoya, his voice came through, laced with a barely perceptible anxiety. Where are you? What's taking so long? The consent form, Yuchuan. I cut him off, my voice terribly hoarse, each word scraping my throat like sandpaper. I don't feel well. What's wrong? The impatience in his tone grew more pronounced. The signature is urgent. The doctor is waiting. I took a deep breath, digging my nails deep into my palm, using the pain to force myself to stay somewhat lucid. I might not be able to go through with the donation. On the other end of the line there was a deathly silence, a few seconds, yet it felt as long as a century. Then I heard the sound of his suppressed rage, low, cold, like a serpent's tongue. Su Xiaoya, say that again. I'm not feeling well, I repeated, my voice trembling in a way I hadn't even noticed. It's serious. I can't right now. Can't. He let out a cold, mocking laugh even through the phone receiver. That laugh sent a chill down my spine. What's wrong with you? I think the problem is in your head. Listen to me. Su Xiaoya, you will sign this today, whether you want to or not. Don't try any funny business with me. Wanwan can't wait any longer. Get out here and sign this right now, immediately, or else what? I retorted, my voice strangely calm like the sea before a storm. Dead silence, brewing with the power to destroy everything. Otherwise, he said, enunciating each word with chilling clarity, the syllables driving into my eardrums like ice picks. Your father's project will run into trouble tomorrow. Do you believe me? Another threat, always a threat, using the Su family, exploiting my weakness, forcing my hand for another woman. That spot in my chest went completely cold. The last faint, pathetic shred of hope flickered out. Zhou Yuchuan, I called his name softly, with a calm I'd never known before. I'm in the women's restroom, the second stall by the window. Come here. I need to talk to you. It's important. There was a silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. They seemed taken aback by my sudden calm. What trick are you trying to pull now? He said, his tone still icy. I don't have time for your games. It's about the child, I said. My voice was barely a whisper, yet it fell like a stone into a deep pool. On the other end of the line, a sudden silence. Even his breath seemed to stop. What did you say? His voice cracked, no longer a cold command but an unbelievable shock, or even a hint of barely perceptible panic. Come here, I repeated, then hung up the phone. Without a moment's hesitation, she took the pregnancy test showing 2 red lines along with its packaging, and flushed it all down the toilet. Pressed the flush button. Whoosh. The water instantly swept them away, gone without a trace. Without a trace. I straightened my clothes, opened the stall door, walked to the sink. The person in the mirror. The face was still pale, but the eyes had changed. It was no longer a hollow despair but an icy, hardened resolve, like a blade about to be drawn from its sheath. The bathroom door was flung open. With tremendous force, the door slammed into the wall. A loud bang echoed. Zhou Yuchuan burst into the room. His usual composure and gentle demeanor vanished completely. All that remained was shock and a trace of a fluster he himself likely hadn't noticed. His eyes swept urgently across the entire bathroom. Finally, they fixed on me. What did you just say on the phone? He strode over to me in a few steps, his breath unsteady, and grabbed my wrist with a force that felt bone-crushing. What child? Say that again. His eyes were locked on me, trying to find any trace of a lie on my face. You're hurting me, I said calmly. The voice was flat and devoid of inflection. He jerked his hand back as if burned, but his gaze remained locked on me. Xiaoya, don't joke around, not at a time like this. I'm not joking. I cut him off, staring straight into his face, which was twisted with shock and disbelief. I'm pregnant, Zhou Yuchuan. It's our child. Every single word fell with perfect clarity onto the cold tile floor. Zhou Yuchuan's expression frozen in an instant, as if frozen solid, stunned, ecstatic. Then came a vast emptiness and struggle. The look in his eyes was indescribably complex, like a spilled paint palette. His lips parted. He seemed to want to say something, yet no sound came out. I just took the test, I added, my tone as flat as if I were talking about someone else. 2 lines, very clear. He finally found his voice with a tremble. Really? Are you sure? When did it happen? How long has it been? A barrage of questions eagerly flung out. His hand even reached unconsciously toward my flat stomach. It halted in midair, then it withdrew, as if afraid to make contact. It must have been recent. They just found out. I watched the emotions shift rapidly in his eyes. So, Yuchuan, I paused. I clearly articulated the decisive question. Do you still want me to go through with this bone marrow donation? The air dead silence. The only sound in the bathroom was the drip of the faucet. Drip, tap, tap. It struck a chord deep within. The look of wild joy and excitement on Zhou Yuchuan's face receded as swiftly as the tide. In its place was a sudden, jarring stiffness and a trace of unmistakable discomfiture. He looked at me. His eyes flickered intensely. His lips moved a few times, but no sound came out. He avoided my gaze. He reached up and tugged at his tie in frustration. The expensive silk tie was pulled askew. It betrayed a disheveled sense of guilt. Xiaoya, he finally spoke, his voice hoarse, laced with a deliberate attempt at reassurance. This is a good thing, a wonderful thing. He tried to force a smile, but the smile remained stiffly fixed at the corners of his mouth. It was more of a grimace than a grin. The child we've been waiting for all this time is finally here. I'm overjoyed. He reached out his hand, wanting to take my hand once more. I took a step back, dodged it. His hand froze in midair. The smile on his face froze too. So, I stared at him, leave him no room for escape. As for Wan, he furrowed his brow, his face contorted in a painful struggle, as if facing the most difficult choice in the world. Her condition is truly critical, the doctor said. Without a suitable bone marrow match, she might. He took a deep breath. Look at me again. His eyes were filled with a sincere anguish and plea. Xiaoya, I know this isn't fair to you, and it's not fair to the child either, but this is a matter of life and death, a living, breathing human life. Wan, she's like a real sister to me. I can't just stand by and watch her. A real sister. I softly repeated those 3 words. There was a hint of barely perceptible mockery in the tone. Zhou Yuchuan's expression stiffened slightly. Yuchuan, I softened my voice, with a fragile, probing quality. This is our child, the child we've waited 6 years for. The risks of a bone marrow donation, you know them better than I do. What if I stopped at just the right moment? Leave enough room for his imagination. A pregnant woman to undergo a bone marrow aspiration and collection, potential complications, the risk of miscarriage. These are common knowledge. He couldn't possibly not know. Zhou Yuchuan's Adam's apple bobbed violently. The struggle in his eyes deepened. He paced anxiously in place for a few steps. The expensive leather shoes trod on the damp floor tiles. A dull thud echoed. Risks, of course there are risks. He spoke rapidly, as if trying to convince himself, but the doctor said the technology is very advanced now. The risks can be minimized, and he came to an abrupt halt. It was like clutching at a lifeline. His eyes lit up, and it's just donating hematopoietic stem cells, not bone marrow. It's not that scary. It's similar to giving blood. It won't affect the child, really. I looked at him, my gaze as pure as if I were asking a husband I trusted. Of course, he answered resolutely, his tone full of certainty. I've asked the doctor. For the child's sake, I made sure to ask very clearly. He took a step closer. Stay away from me. Xiaoya, you have to believe me. I care about you and the child more than anyone. How could I ever put you and the child in danger? It's just a small cell extraction. You'll recover in a few days. It'll be fine. Wan's situation, we really can't afford to wait any longer. His eyes were filled with earnest hope. It carried a desperate, all-or-nothing plea. Do it for me. For our child's future blessings. Please, help me. Help Wan. Will you sign it? He took out that folded bone marrow donation consent form again. He held it out in front of me. The space for the signature remained blank, like a silent mockery. I looked at him. I looked at that face, once so handsome and captivating to me, now etched with nothing but hypocrisy and selfishness. I saw the undisguised calculation in his eyes, that meticulously calculated optimal choice to exchange a risk I and my child could control for Lin Wan's life. It was worth it. In his heart, totally worth it. The last faint ember snuffed out completely. That spot in my chest, nothing but cold ashes remained. I reached out my hand. I did not take the paper. I gently placed my hand on my lower abdomen. It was still flat. There was nothing unusual yet. I felt as if I could sense it, a faint yet tenacious heartbeat resonating with me. Okay, I said, a voice as light as a feather, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 June. It landed squarely on Zhou Yuchuan's heart. His eyes instantly blazed with a light of wild joy. Xiaoya, you agreed. That's wonderful. I knew you would, but I cut him off. My voice was low, yet it clearly cut through his agitation. I have one condition. The joy on Zhou Yuchuan's face froze for a moment. What condition? He asked, with a hint of wariness that was quickly overtaken by the urgency to resolve the matter. Tell me, whatever it is, I'll do it. I want to see Lin Wan, I said, looking him straight in the eye. enunciating each word clearly. Before the donation, I need to see her alone. The expression on Zhou Yuchuan's face, it instantly became utterly spectacular astonishment, bewilderment, then came a profound resistance. What do you want to see her for? He frowned deeply. She's in a very fragile state right now, both physically and emotionally, the doctor said. She needs complete rest, she can't see anyone, that's my condition. My tone left no room for negotiation, calm yet unyielding. I have a right to know who I'm saving. If you don't agree, I lowered my eyelids slightly, concealing the cold glint in my eyes. Then I won't sign this, you. Zhou Yuchuan was left speechless with anger. A muscle in his face twitched, a flash of malice crossed his eyes, but he quickly forced it down. He paced back and forth, he glanced at his watch impatiently, as if weighing the passage of time, weighing the severity of Lin Wanwan's condition, weighing the risks brought on by my willfulness. A few seconds later, he came to an abrupt halt. He took a deep breath. It was as if he had made a tremendous compromise and sacrifice. Fine, he said through gritted teeth, I agree, but not for long, 10 minutes, tops, and watch what you say, don't upset her, she can't handle any stress right now. His tone was filled with it, it was brimming with tender care for Lin Wanwan. I nodded. Lead the way. Zhou Yuchuan gave me a long, deep look. His expression was inscrutable. Finally, he turned away. He led me out of the icy restroom. We walked down a long corridor, heavy with the smell of disinfectant. We were heading toward the intensive care unit. The further in we went, the air grew heavier. Zhou Yuchuan's steps quickened, clearly worried about the person inside. He stopped before a frosted glass door marked intensive care unit. On the bench by the entrance, a woman sat there, dressed in a beige Chanel suit, well maintained, with a gentle and graceful demeanor, yet a profound sorrow and weariness clouded his brow. He saw Zhou Yuchuan. She immediately stood up. Yuchuan, you're here, she said softly, her voice choked with emotion. Wanwan just now. Her gaze settled on me. She paused for a moment, then she offered a polite yet distant smile. And this is, Mom. Zhou Yuchuan's tone instantly softened, even carrying a hint of reverence. This is Zhaoya, my wife, Lin Wanwan's mother. Qin Wan, I've heard of her, a gentle and serene lady from a wealthy family. Once upon a time, she was an honored guest at my and Zhou Yuchuan's wedding. Now, the look in her eyes, it was searching, appraising, and something else, an indescribable complexity. It felt like guilt, it felt inevitable. Zhaoya, Qin Wan stepped forward and gently took my hand. Her hand was cold. Thank you for coming. Her voice trembled with emotion, her eyes welling up with tears. Wanwan, I'm entrusting Wanwan's life to you. She looked at me intently. Her gaze was filled with gratitude and a trace of barely perceptible pleading. It was like watching a last, desperate lifeline. I pulled my hand back. The movement was small, but it was decisive. Qin Wan's hand froze in midair. A flicker of embarrassment crossed her face. Mom, Zhaoya wants to go in and see Wanwan. Zhou Yuchuan quickly interjected, breaking the awkward silence. Qin Wan was taken aback for a moment. She then looked at Zhou Yuchuan. Her eyes held a question. Zhou Yuchuan gave her a nod. Just 10 minutes, he emphasized, then turned to me. Zhaoya, say something. I know. I cut him off, my gaze shifting to the closed frosted glass door. Qin Wan hesitated, the words catching in her throat. In the end, she just sighed. Well, all right then, you two, talk it out properly. She took a step back. Zhou Yuchuan stepped forward. He rang the doorbell. He spoke a few quiet words into the intercom. The door was opened from within. A nurse in sterile isolation gear peeked out. Family of Lin Wanwan, yes. Zhou Yuchuan said quickly, my wife would like to see her. Just for 10 minutes, the nurse glanced at me. There was a hint of pity in his eyes, and something else, something hard to define. Come in, be quiet, the patient needs to rest. I changed into the sterile gown the nurse handed me. I put on the mask and cap, following behind the nurse, stepping into that world filled with the beeping of machines, the heavy scent of antiseptic, various tubes, and wires connected to the frail figure on the hospital bed. Lin Wanwan. She woke up, propped up in the hospital bed. Her face was as pale as a sheet. Her lips were almost devoid of color, yet the delicate contours of her fine features were still discernible. Fragile, a sight that stirred pity in anyone who saw her. She saw me come in her large eyes, which had been somewhat lifeless, a profoundly complex light instantly flashed. Surprise, fearful, nervous, and a trace of barely perceptible hostility. She instinctively glanced behind me. She seemed to be looking for Zhou Yuchuan. Miss Lin, I said as I approached the bedside, my voice muffled by the mask. The nurse glanced at us. She quietly retreated to a piece of equipment farther away, but he hadn't left. The hospital room was very quiet. Only the steady, rhythmic beeping of the monitors filled the air. Mrs. Zhou, Lin Wanwan spoke, her voice weak and breathy. Thank you for coming to see me. Her gaze settled on my lower abdomen even through the loose, sterile gown, yet that look held a piercing intensity. It gave me a sudden feeling of unease. Yuchuan, she seemed to want to explain, but didn't know how to begin, her eyes darting away. He told me about you. Thank you so much, for being willing to save me. I didn't come here to listen to your thanks, I said calmly. My gaze swept over her hand, which lay outside the blanket. Slender, a delicate platinum chain adorned her wrist. The pendant was a small, exquisite letter Z, the initial of Chuan and Zhou Yuchuan's name. His personal mark. Once upon a time I've received a similar custom gift before, only it wasn't long after we got married. I stopped wearing it a long time ago. Lin Wanwan noticed my gaze instinctively. I tried to pull my hand back under the covers. The movement tugged at the four-line beside her. It caused a slight tremor. She grew flustered. Mrs. Zhou, Lin Wanwan, I cut her off. My gaze shifting from her wrist back to her pale face. What is your relationship with Zhou Yuchuan? Blunt, sharp like a scalpel, it struck a nerve, hitting her where it hurt most. Without warning, Lin Wanwan's face instantly drained of its last trace of color. It became paler than the white wall behind her. Her eyes widened in terror. Look at me. Her lips trembled. We're friends, she stammered incoherently, her gaze darting nervously toward the door as if seeking refuge. Good friends, like brother and sister. I repeated softly. My gaze fell on the conspicuous C etched on her wrist. Silent accusation. Lin Wanwan abruptly withdrew her hand under the covers. Her fingers clutched the corner of the quilt, white-knuckled. Her knuckles were clenched so tight they turned white. Why yes, she whispered, her voice a faint, tearful thread. Mrs. Zhou, please don't misunderstand. I leaned forward slightly. The distance closed. I could clearly see the fine beads of cold sweat breaking out on her forehead, and the unmistakable terror in her eyes. Lin Wanwan, I whispered, my voice dropping even lower so only the two of us could hear. Ice cold, devoid of any warmth. That bracelet on your wrist, Zhou Yuchuan gave it to you, didn't he? Does he often keep you company at that apartment in Stellar Bay? Is that photo of the two of you still in this safe in his study? You too. With every word I spoke, Lin Wanwan's body trembled violently. Breathing became rapid. The heart rate number on the monitor began to spike. A beep 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 alarm sounded. She let out a sharp, startled gasp as if an invisible hand had seized her by the throat. She stared at me with a look of sheer terror, as if looking at a monstrous creature. The nurse rushed over immediately. What's wrong? The patient mustn't get agitated. She shot me a stern look and quickly checked the monitors. Miss Lin, relax. Take deep breaths. Lin Wanwan gasped for air. Her chest heaved violently. Tears welled up and overflowed. She pointed toward the door. Her voice broke. Go. Let her go. Get out. The look in her eyes as she stared at me, it was full of fear and a hint of malice. The nurse immediately turned to face me. Her tone was firm. You there, family member. The patient is agitated. I need you to leave the room immediately. I straightened up. I took one last look at the figure on the bed, curled into a ball and trembling. Mission accomplished. Take care, Miss Lin, I said calmly. I turned without a backward glance. I walked out of that oppressive, deceit-filled hospital room. The door closed behind me. It shut out the chaos inside. Zhou Yuchuan and Qin Wan immediately crowded around. Well, what did you say to her? Zhou Yuchuan's face was ashen as he grabbed my arm with considerable force. How could she suddenly become like this? Qin Wan also looked at me anxiously. There was reproach in his eyes. I just asked a few questions, I said calmly, shaking off his hand. What questions? Zhou Yuchuan's gaze was sharp. I asked what her relationship with you was, I said, meeting his gaze frankly. I asked for some details. You, Zhou Yuchuan's face instantly darkened with rage, a vein throbbing at his temple. Su Xiaoya, have you lost your mind? I told you, she can't handle any stress. Why would you ask her those things? I just wanted to be sure, I said, meeting his furious gaze head on, to be sure exactly what kind of friend I'm about to sacrifice my own health, and possibly even my child, to save. I deliberately emphasized the word friend. Zhou Yuchuan's expression froze instantly. A flash of profound guilt flickered in his eyes. But he recovered his composure quickly. You're being completely unreasonable. He pointed a trembling finger at my face. If anything happens to Wanwan, it'll be on you, Yuchuan. That's enough. Qin Wan anxiously pulled at his arm from the side, then turned to me with a pleading look. Xiaoya, Wanwan, she really can't take it. What happened in the past, it doesn't matter anymore. Saving her life is what's important right now. Her words like the final straw. It completely shattered a Fragile, false equilibrium. Does it even matter anymore? Yeah, in the hearts of Zhou Yuchuan and those around him, only Lin Wanwan's life matters. My feelings, my own health, even the child I carry within me, none of it matters. All of it is expendable. I stared at his face, contorted with rage. I met Qin Wan's pleading gaze. My eyes were fixed on the tightly shut door of the ICU. My heart clenched as if gripped by an icy hand, and slowly released. Good, saw it clearly now. I'll sign it. I looked at Zhou Yuchuan. I enunciated each word clearly. The fury on his face instantly froze. It was replaced by sheer astonishment. It seemed they hadn't expected that, after I provoked Lin Wanwan, I would still be willing to sign. But, I added, my gaze icy. Not today. What? Zhou Yuchuan's heart, which had just settled, lurched back into his throat. Su Xiaoya, what kind of trick are you trying to pull now? Wanwan can't wait any longer. I need time, I said calmly, to prepare for the bone marrow donation, to get my body in the right condition, to make sure everything goes perfectly. After all, I added meaningfully, casting a glance down at my abdomen, it's not just me anymore. Zhou Yuchuan was left speechless. His eyes darted away. How long will that take? He pressed, his voice urgent. A month. I gave a time frame. A month. Zhou Yuchuan's voice shot up, sharp as a cat whose tail has been stepped on. No, absolutely not. The doctor said Wanwan's condition can only hold on for at most. That's my final offer. I cut him off, my gaze unwavering. Zhou Yuchuan, you either wait a month, or, I stared at him coldly, find someone else. The air grew tense once more. Zhou Yuchuan's eyes were locked on me. His gaze was fierce enough to devour me whole. Qinwan stood nearby. She looked at her furious son, then he looked at my indifferent face again. She was so anxious that tears began to fall. Yuchuan, Xiaoya has a point. She just got pregnant. Her health is the priority. A month. Maybe we should just, Mom, Zhou Yuchuan interrupted her impatiently. He paced back and forth like a caged beast. Finally, he came to an abrupt halt. Look at me. His eyes were dark and stormy. Fine, Su Xiaoya. He spat out the words through gritted teeth. 1 month. You have exactly 1 month to prepare. For this entire month, you rest up and take care of yourself. You're not going anywhere. 1 month from now, I want to see your signed consent form, lying on the operating table. Otherwise. He didn't say another word, but the threat in his eyes was clearer than any words. I nodded. All right, and one more thing, he added, his tone firm. For this entire month, you must stay at home. I'll arrange for someone to look after you. Look after me. I gave a wry smile. It's surveillance, isn't it? Afraid I'll run away, afraid I'll change my mind, afraid his beloved would lose her life-saving bone marrow. Fine, I said. I didn't look at them again. I turned away alone towards the door at the far end of the hospital. Bathed in cold sunlight, their gazes, their anger, their pleas left it all behind. Zhou Yuchuan moved quickly, or rather, he was very attentive in his supervision of me. That very evening, a strange middle-aged woman appeared, luggage in hand. She was standing at my front door. Good evening, ma'am, Mr. Zhou sent me to look after you. The woman, whose surname was Wu, offered a practiced smile, though her eyes held a scrutinizing gaze. You can call me Sister Wu. She was like a shadow. She slipped into my life without a sound, cooking, cleaning, even. I stepped out onto the balcony for some air. I could feel her following, keeping a careful distance. Her gaze seemed to linger on me, faint yet palpable. My phone, it often loses a huge chunk of battery right after being charged. For no apparent reason. I know he's watching my every move, afraid I'd contact the outside world, afraid I'd cause trouble or complicate things. Zhou Yuchuan himself started coming back much more frequently. Gone were the days when he'd disappear for 10 days or a fortnight at a time. He comes home on time every single night. He eats with me the lavish, yet utterly bland, nutritious meals prepared by Sister Wu. After dinner, he considerately keeps me company while I watch TV, or perhaps sitting in the study, handling documents. The study door always left slightly ajar. I can feel it, his gaze, slipping through the crack in the door from time to time, landing on me with a subtle, appraising look. Xiaoya, how are you feeling today? He asked, entering with a glass of milk, his face wearing a perfectly measured gentleness. Has the baby been giving you any trouble? I took the milk from him. I didn't drink it, set it aside. It's fine. How about having Sister Wu accompany you for the prenatal checkup tomorrow? He suggested casually. I've already arranged for a specialist to ensure the baby's health. No need. I refused flatly. I'll go by myself. The smile faded slightly from Zhou Yuchuan's face. I'm not comfortable with you going alone, he said gently, yet with an air of finality. Let Sister Wu accompany you. For safety, the hospital is crowded. Or, he took a step closer, resting his hand lightly on my shoulder. I could make some time tomorrow morning to go with you. No need for the trouble, I said, moving away from his hand. Sister Wu will be fine. Zhou Yuchuan stared at me for a few seconds. His gaze was deep and penetrating. Finally, he gave a faint smile. Okay, I'll follow your lead. Call me anytime if you need anything. He turned and left. He closed the study door behind him, shutting out his inquisitive gaze. I sat on the sofa. My hand rested gently on my lower abdomen. I felt the warmth there. Still flat, this child, it is my only weakness. It is also my current greatest bargaining chip and, most importantly, it is central to my plan, a crucial piece of the puzzle. Zhou Yuchuan's surveillance was tight, but he was, after all, only human. There were bound to be oversights, for instance the supposedly impenetrable safe in his study. The combination was his usual set of numbers I know all too well. On one of those evenings when he came home late from business entertainment, slightly tipsy, after being helped into the bedroom by Sister Wu and falling into a deep sleep, I was wearing soft slippers. I stepped silently into the study. Moonlight filtered through the blinds, casting dappled shadows on the floor. The safe stood right beside the desk. It stood there quietly like a silent, hulking beast. I walked up to it, crouched down, reach out a hand, fingertips glide lightly over the cold metal keypad. Zhou Yuchuan's password habit, it always comes back to those few numbers: his birthday, my birthday, and then, the date that was deliberately forgotten, the day Lin Wanwan left. It was also the eternal regret in his heart. I tried enter a set of numbers. Beep, a faint buzz, error prompt. The warning light on the safe flickered. My heart skipped a beat and then another, but I didn't stop. I took a deep breath. I entered another set, a combination of my birthday and his. Beep, still an error. The warning light flashed faster. Last chance. I closed my eyes for a moment. My fingertip hovered over the keypad. Slowly, I typed in that date, the day he would drink himself into a stupor, alone, every year. Deep in the drawer of his desk, a date was still cherished, along with an old photo of Lin Wanwan. Click, a soft sound. In the silent study, unusually clear, the safe's door popped open a crack. Done. A cold, white light illuminated the interior of the safe. There wasn't much inside: a few thick document folders, some cash and gold bars, and then a square velvet jewelry box. I took out that box, opened it. It wasn't jewelry inside, it was a ring, a platinum ring with diamonds. For a woman, the design is simple and elegant. Inside the ring, band engraved with two letters, Z and W, Zhou Yuchuan, Lin Wanwan. Beneath the ring, a folded piece of paper was pressed underneath. I unfolded it. It was a marriage registration application form. Applicants: Zhou Yuchuan, Lin Wanwan. Date: 6 years ago. Just 1 month before Zhou Yuchuan and I got our marriage certificate. On the form, both signatures are clearly visible. Zhou Yuchuan's signature is a bold, flowing scrawl. Beside it, still bearing the crimson fingerprint, time, place, characters crystal clear like a sledgehammer blow. It slammed into my temple. A dull roar. Bigamy. Zhou Yuchuan. He actually, before he married me, he's already registered his marriage with Lin Wanwan. Then what does my marriage to him count for? A complete and utter sham. For what purpose? For the Su family's money, for his Zhou family's precarious business. No wonder they've been married for 6 years. He never once mentioned taking me to meet any of his so-called old classmates. No wonder he always uses being busy with work as an excuse. He's absent from every occasion that requires a couple's joint presence. No wonder he acts that way towards my family. There was always a deliberate sense of distance and formality. So that's how it is. He was already someone else's husband, and as for me, Su Xiaoya, so I was the one who came later. I was the one he deceived for 6 whole years. He bled me dry and then cast me aside, and in the end, he'd push me out there to sacrifice my health and my child. What a fool, rushing off to save his lawful wife. A metallic, coppery taste flooded my throat. I forced myself to swallow it down. His knuckles were white with the strain. He was on the verge of crumpling the thin sheet of paper. Rage, it spread like a wildfire. It washed over me in an instant. It burned away the last, pitiful remnants of feeling. I carefully folded the registration form and placed it back where it belonged. The ring was returned to the jewelry box. The safe was closed. All traces were erased. Returned to the living room. Sitting in the darkness, moonlight filters through the window, casting long shadows on the floor. Cold, it left me utterly clear-headed. Zhou Yuchuan, since you want to play, then let's see who played dirtier. In the days that followed, I became the most docile pregnant woman under Sister Wu's meticulous care. Focus on taking it easy and resting. Zhou Yuchuan was quite pleased with my cooperation. The gloom on his face lifted considerably. The way he looked at me, there was even the occasional flicker of genuine anticipation. For this child who arrived so unexpectedly, he was probably genuinely happy. After all, it was his own flesh and blood. It was just that this joy, compared to his deep affection for Lin Wanwan, seemed so utterly insignificant. He's still going on business trips. I know he's going to see Lin Wanwan to console his legitimate wife who is hanging by a thread. I seized every prenatal checkup as an opportunity. Inside the hospital restroom, staying out of Sister Wu's line of sight, dialing an encrypted number on the other end of the line. It was my father's most trusted, long-serving subordinate, the pillar of the Su Group's legal Department Attorney Chen, Uncle Chen, my voice was hushed, barely audible through the poorly soundproofed door. I need you to look into a few things for me. First, check the marriage registration records for Zhou Yuchuan and Lin Wanwan from 6 years ago. The location is the Civil Affairs Bureau in City B. Second, find out who holds the property rights for apartment 2801, Building C, in Starlight Bay. Also, pull the utility and property fee payment records for the last 6 years. I need to know who's been paying them. Third, investigate the large transactions from Zhou Yuchuan's personal accounts over the last 3 years. Focus on transfers to private accounts, especially those where the recipient's name contains Wan or Lin. Fourth, obtain Lin Wanwan's medical records. Focus on the last 6 months. Check if there are any other unusual entries besides the leukemia diagnosis. Gather all the evidence. Keep it confidential. Send it directly to the encrypted email address I gave you. Also, I paused before adding, schedule an appointment for me with a leading obstetrician. Schedule it for the day before the bone marrow donation. This must be handled with absolute discretion. Miss, Attorney Chen's voice came through the line, tinged with shock and a note of gravity. Are you sure about this? The implications, Uncle Chen. I cut him off, my tone calm yet carrying an undeniable force. Do as I say. The Su family will not be toyed with like this. There was a silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. I understand. Lawyer Chen's voice grew solemn. Leave it to me. You, take care of yourself. Thank you. I hung up the phone. I leaned against the cold tile wall listening to the faint footsteps of Sister Wu outside. It was like walking on a knife's edge, yet the heart was more resolute than ever. The days passed. One by one, on the surface, all was calm. In secret, turbulent waves. Uncle Chen is very efficient. Encrypted emails arrived one after another. The words were cold. Like a series of sharp scalpels, they laid bare the colossal lie Zhou Yuchuan had meticulously woven for 6 years. B City Civil Affairs Bureau marriage registration record of Zhou Yuchuan and Lin Wanwan clear and indisputable. The date is irrefutable proof. Unit 2801, Building C, Starry Bay. The property rights were registered under the name of a shell company called Lin Wan. The legal representative of the company, she is Lin Wanwan's mother, Qin Wan. Utility and property fee payment records for the past 6 years. The payer column, the name listed was none other than Zhou Yuchuan's personal assistant, Xiao Zhang. Zhou Yuchuan's personal account. A fixed monthly transfer of 200,000 yuan deposited into one of Lin Wanwan's overseas accounts. Purpose unknown. The final email. It's about Lin Wanwan's medical records. Aside from the recent leukemia diagnosis, there's another entry. It's particularly glaring. 3 months ago, she was at another high-end private hospital in the city. She underwent a surgical abortion procedure. Time exactly 1 month before she was diagnosed with leukemia. My finger hovered over the laptop's touchpad. It didn't move for a long time. An abortion 3 months ago, which means in the 6th year of my marriage to Zhou Yuchuan, just when I had almost given up hope, believing I could never conceive. His lawful wife, Lin Wanwan, was carrying his child only to have it terminated. Why? Because Lin Wanwan is sick. No, the timing doesn't add up. The miscarriage came first. The diagnosis came later. So then, did Zhou Yuchuan make her get rid of it because of the Su family? Because the usefulness of this marriage between him and me hasn't been fully exploited yet, so Lin Wanwan's child can't be born without a proper name or status. So when Lin Wanwan was diagnosed with leukemia, that's why he's gone so mad, so recklessly. At any cost, he'd even force a latecomer like me to donate marrow, all to save his one and only true love. The thought, it carried the foul stench of blood. It turned my stomach. I rushed to the bathroom. He retched over the toilet. Nothing came up. Only a burning, searing pain remained. Zhou Yuchuan, you have such a cruel heart, cruel to Lin Wanwan, cruel to me, and even crueler to your own child. The baby in my womb seemed to sense my emotions. It gave a gentle stir, like a small comfort. I leaned against the cold bathroom counter, gasping for air. The person in the mirror, a face as pale as paper, but the eyes, yet it was like ice tempered in fire. Zhou Yuchuan, the score between us, it's time for a final reckoning. The agreed upon 1-month deadline, it had finally arrived. Zhou Yuchuan returned home a day early. His face wore an expression of relief before a great task's completion, and a hint of barely concealed urgency. Is everything ready? He set down his briefcase and looked at me. I'll take you to the hospital at 9 tomorrow morning. Everything's been arranged with the doctor. I nodded, taking small sips of the bird's nest soup Sister Wu had just finished stewing. I've looked into the donation process thoroughly. He sat down on the sofa beside me, as if to reassure me. It's just drawing some blood to separate the hematopoietic stem cells. It'll only take a few hours. It shouldn't be too painful. He paused. His gaze fell upon my lower abdomen. As for the baby, his tone was unusually gentle, deliberately soothing. I've consulted the most authoritative experts. The risk is truly minimal, almost negligible. Xiaoya. He reached out, intending to cover the back of my hand, holding the bowl of bird's nest soup, tilted slightly to the side, dodged it, his finger froze midair, a flicker of displeasure crossed his eyes but it was quickly concealed. Don't worry, I'll be right here with you. He withdrew his hand. Tomorrow, once the papers are signed, it'll all be over quickly, and Wan, she can have her surgery as soon as possible, he said. A flicker of concern for Lin Wan showed in his eyes, that concern. It was painfully sincere. All right. I set down the bowl of bird's nest soup and stood up. I'm a bit tired, I'm going to my room to rest. Go ahead, Zhou Yuchuan nodded, his gaze following me until I closed the bedroom door. The moment the door clicked shut, I leaned back against the door. I could hear everything clearly from the living room outside, the sound of his voice on the phone. It was hushed. Don't worry, it's all arranged, she agreed. First thing tomorrow morning. Don't worry, Wan, you'll be better soon. That gentle tone of voice in my 6 years of marriage was a luxury I never once received. I walked over to the window, gazing out at the deep, heavy night, dialed Lawyer Chen's number. Uncle Chen, is everything ready? All set, miss. Lawyer Chen's voice was steady and firm. The chain of evidence is complete. The media have been arranged. Tomorrow at 9:30, they will be at the hematology department of Central Hospital, right on time. What about the obstetric specialist? It's all arranged. 8 o'clock, the VIP clinic at Ruan Hospital. The test results will be reported as soon as they're ready. All right. I took a deep breath. Thank you for your trouble, Uncle Chen. Tomorrow, we proceed as planned. Miss, please, take good care of yourself. I know. I hung up the phone. I stroked my slightly rounded belly. The baby seemed to sense something. It stirred ever so slightly, as if in response to me. Baby, I whispered, my voice so low only I could hear it. Tomorrow, Mama will take you to see a show that will reveal the truth. I didn't sleep a wink all night. The sky was just beginning to lighten. Sister Wu had prepared a hearty breakfast bright and early. Zhou Yuchuan sat at the head of the dining table. He was looking at the newspaper, but his gaze kept drifting toward me. There was a hint of subtle urgency in it. Eat up, he said, putting the paper down, his tone gentle. You'll need your strength for later. I ate in silence. The food was tasteless. 7 o'clock. Zhou Yuchuan picked up the car keys. Let's go. He took the wheel himself. Sister Wu sat in the passenger seat. I sat in the back, watching the streetscapes blur past the window, heartbeat steady, no ripples of emotion. The car wasn't headed for Central Hospital. Instead, I turned onto another road. Where are we going? Zhou Yuchuan frowned, looking at me in the rearview mirror. Ruan Hospital, I said calmly. I have a prenatal appointment. Zhou Yuchuan's expression darkened instantly. Su Xiaoya. His voice was laced with anger. Do you not know what day it is? How can you be thinking about a prenatal checkup now? Wan is waiting for that life-saving donation. I know, I said, meeting his furious eyes in the rearview mirror. That's precisely why I need the checkup, to make sure the baby is okay before the donation. You promised me that. Zhou Yuchuan's grip on the steering wheel tightened abruptly. His knuckles turned white. He was clearly struggling to contain his anger. Finally, he jerked the steering wheel. The car turned around, heading in the direction of Ryan Hospital. Hurry up, he said, his tone icy. Don't waste any time. The VIP consultation room at Ryan Hospital. The gray-haired obstetrics authority, Professor Zhang, personally received them. A thorough examination. The ultrasound probe glided across the belly. On the screen, the tiny embryo was beginning to take human form. The heartbeat was strong. Zhou Yuchuan stood nearby. He was looking at the screen. His expression was somewhat complicated, but more than that, it was restlessness. He kept glancing at his watch. Doctor, what's the news? He couldn't help but ask. Professor Zhang studied the report carefully. His expression was grave. The fetus is developing well at the moment, he said, putting down the report and looking at me. But Ms. Su, your physical condition is not ideal. Zhou Yuchuan's brow was deeply furrowed. What do you mean? The patient has mild anemia and low blood pressure, Professor Zhang said, adjusting his glasses. And on top of what you mentioned earlier, she's scheduled for a hematopoietic stem cell donation today. He looked at me. I nodded. Well, Professor Zhang's brow furrowed even deeper. Mr. Su, as a doctor, I must warn you, while hematopoietic stem cell donation is relatively safe, the risk factor increases significantly for a pregnant woman. Potential complications include hypotension, dizziness, and in severe cases, it could lead to placental abruption or even miscarriage. I strongly advise postponing the donation. Wait until the fetus is more stable. No, Zhou Yuchuan blurted out, his tone leaving no room for argument. They can't wait any longer. It has to be today. Professor Zhang was taken aback. He clearly hadn't anticipated the family would react this way. His gaze shifted to Zhou Yuchuan. His eyes held a look of scrutiny and disapproval. Mr. Zhou, this is your wife and child, no risk should be taken. I said no, and that's final. Zhou Yuchuan cut him off harshly, his sharp gaze sweeping over me. Su Xiaoya, did you hear what the doctor said? There is a risk, but the doctor also said it's only a possibility, the odds are very small. He walked up to me, looming over me with a sense of oppression. For Wan, to save a life, what's a little risk? Once you sign and complete the donation, I'll arrange for the best doctor to protect your pregnancy immediately. Nothing will go wrong, I promise. His assurance at this moment, it sounds like a colossal irony. I looked at his face, twisted with eagerness and selfishness into something almost monstrous. He rose slowly to his feet. Professor Zhang, could you please prepare a detailed prenatal checkup report and a risk assessment? I said calmly. Of course. Professor Zhang nodded immediately, gave me a sympathetic glance, and began typing rapidly on the computer. The report was printed out shortly after. It's written in black and white. All the metrics were clearly stated, along with the conclusion that pregnant women face higher risks when donating hematopoietic stem cells, and it is strongly recommended to postpone the procedure. I took the report, folded it neatly, put it in the bag I carry with me. Now, I said, looking at Zhou Yuchuan's ashen face, we can go. Central Hospital, Hematology Department. The atmosphere was heavy in the corridor. Zhou Yuchuan's parents, Lin Wanwan's mother Qin Wan, and several important relatives of the Zhou family had all arrived. They see us, all eyes turned toward us with anticipation, with scrutiny. Zhou Yuchuan's father, Zhou Zhenghua, a stern-faced middle-aged man, he stepped forward to greet us. Yuchuan, Xiaoya, his gaze settled on me, carrying a hint of patriarchal authority. Is everything ready? Zhou Yuchuan nodded, giving me a meaningful look. Dad, Mom, Auntie, Xiaoya is all ready, we'll go sign now. Qin Wan immediately stepped forward, her eyes were rimmed with red. She grasped my hand tightly. Xiaoya, thank you. Thank you for saving Wanwan's life. Auntie is going to kneel to you. She made as if to kneel down. Zhou Yuchuan swiftly caught and steadied her. Auntie, please don't. This is what Xiaoya should do. Zhou Yuchuan said firmly. Just doing my job. I sneered inwardly. I withdrew my hand from Qin Wan's grasp. Where is the signing room? I asked. This way. Zhou Yuchuan immediately led me to a nearby room. Inside the room, a doctor and a nurse were already waiting. On the table, there lay the familiar bone marrow donation consent form and a pen. Please have a seat, Ms. Su, the doctor said, gesturing for me to sit down as he prepared to explain the procedure and the risks. Zhou Yuchuan stood by my side, his gaze burned into the paper, the urgency in his eyes, it was almost palpable. Xiaoya, sign it, he urged in a low voice. I picked up the pen, the nib hovered over the signature line, it did not descend, all eyes were upon me, the air seemed to freeze. Zhou Yuchuan, I put down my pen, I looked up, my gaze fell upon him, the sound echoed clearly in the quiet room. Before you sign, in front of the doctors and nurses, in front of all these elders, I want to ask you one last question. Zhou Yuchuan's brow furrowed deeply, his face showed undisguised irritation. Su Xiaoya, what are you trying to do now? Can't any questions wait until after you've signed? Just one question, I insisted. His gaze was calm and unreadable. You answer me, then I'll sign. Zhou Yuchuan took a deep breath, suppressing his anger. Fine. Ask away. I looked at him word for word. He asked clearly, Lin Wanwan, is she your wife? Boom, this sentence, like a bomb dropped into deep water, it instantly ignited the entire room. Dead silence, absolute silence. The expressions on everyone's faces froze solid. Shock, unbelievable. The irritation and impatience on Zhou Yuchuan's face vanished in an instant, replaced by something else, a sudden, shocking horror, and the pallor of being publicly flayed. His pupils contracted sharply. He stared at me as if he'd seen a ghost. His lips trembled. He wanted to say something, but no sound came out. Qin Wan, standing behind him, let out a sharp gasp, instinctively covered their mouth, their face turned deathly pale. Mr. and Mrs. Zhou, his eyes widened in utter shock, it was as if he was seeing his own son for the very first time. Xiaoya, you, what nonsense are you spouting? Zhou Yuchuan's mother snapped back to her senses, her voice shrill. It's not nonsense, I said, standing up. My gaze swept across every stunned face in the room. It finally settled on Zhou Yuchuan's pale, contorted face. I reached into my bag and pulled out the prenatal exam report. Unfold, place it on the table, in black and white, crystal clear. Then he produced another thick manila envelope. With a sharp slap, he slammed it down right next to the prenatal exam report. Zhou Yuchuan, my voice cold clear like the final gavel of judgment. You and Lin Wanwan were legally married in City B 6 years ago. The proof is right here. The apartment at Star River Bay, the enormous monthly allowance you faithfully send her. And then there's my gaze. The words cut across Zhou Yuchuan's ashen face like a knife. 3 months ago, the child you made her abort, that is also irrefutable evidence. You married me under false pretenses. You're a bigamist. All this time, you've been playing the part of my devoted husband, all while draining the Su family's resources. And on the side, you've been supporting your legal wife, Lin Wanwan. Now, you're still forcing me, the other woman, to sacrifice myself and my child to save your lawful wife. Zhou Yuchuan, have you no conscience? Was it eaten by a dog? Every single word was like it carried the force of thunder, crashed down violently in the silent room. It hit Zhou Yuchuan right in the face. It struck at the hearts of everyone in the Zhou and Lin families. No, that's not true. Zhou Yuchuan staggered back a step, his face drained of color as he looked around in panic. She's lying. She's insane, slandering me. He wanted to snatch that file folder. I swatted it away. Slander, I sneered. Pulling out my phone, I quickly tapped open an audio file. I cranked the volume to maximum. Zhou Yuchuan's voice, it came through clearly. Wanwan, we should terminate the pregnancy. Why, Yuchuan, this is our child, Lin Wanwan's voice, choked with tears, the Su family, we can't afford any complications right now. This child, it's illegitimate. It's not good for you, or for the child. Be good, get rid of it. Later, we'll have a child later, I promise, Zhou Yuchuan's voice, weary and resigned, a clear audio recording like a series of stinging slaps striking Zhou Yuchuan right across the face, striking the face of anyone who dared to offer an excuse. Zhou Yuchuan froze completely like a clay statue drained of its soul, his face turned from pale to ashen, then from ashen to livid. He stared fixedly at the phone in my hand. His eyes were filled with venomous hatred and a madness bent on destruction. It's fake, all of it is fake. He roared like a madman and lunged forward. Su Xiaoya, you bitch, how dare you record this? Stop him. The doctors and nurses, snapping out of their shock, rushed forward. The scene instantly descended into chaos. The Zhou and Lin families were in utter chaos. Screams, accusations, excuses, screams, a chaotic uproar. At this moment of peak chaos, the door to the room, it was flung open. A crowd of reporters with cameras and microphones, they swarmed in. A barrage of camera flashes lit up the room. It captured the expression on every face in the room in an instant, frozen in a moment of shock, panic, and terror. Mr. Zhou, is it true, as Ms. Su alleges, that you are guilty of bigamy? Did you coerce your current wife, Ms. Su, into donating bone marrow to save the life of your legal wife, Ms. Lin Wanwan? How do you view your actions from 3 months ago, when you demanded that Ms. Lin have an abortion? Mr. Zhou, please answer. A sharp question, it hammered down upon the ashen-faced Zhou Yuchuan like a torrential downpour. He covered his face under the protection of his bodyguards. He made a frantic and undignified attempt to break through the ring of reporters. There was no way he could get through. In the chaos, I shielded my abdomen under the cover of the people Lawyer Chen had arranged in advance. I quietly slipped away from the eye of the storm, standing in the shadows of the corridor, watching the farce I had personally orchestrated unfold inside. Zhou Yuchuan's furious roar, Xin Wan's wailing cries, the sheer panic of Mr. and Mrs. Zhou, the reporter's sharp, relentless questioning. It was like a scene from a bizarre silent film. It has nothing to do with me. I took out my phone. I logged into the encrypted email account named Truth. I opened the documents that Lawyer Chen had gathered and organized. It was a scanned copy of the marriage registration for Zhou Yuchuan and Lin Wanwan, property deed and payment records for the Galaxy Bay apartment, bank transfer records of the large sum from Zhou Yuchuan to Lin Wanwan's surgical record for the induced abortion, and just now, the heart-stopping recording from the signing room. Compile it into a long post. The title is simple and direct. Public report. My husband Zhou Yuchuan committed bigamy and marriage fraud, then coerced me into donating bone marrow for his legal wife. At the end of the post, I have attached a photo of myself holding my ID card. Su Xiaoya, clear and correct. Click send. Target the largest local lifestyle forum and all the media tip-off email addresses I had lined up. The confirmation tone sounded. I turned off my phone, turn around, head for the emergency exit, leaving behind all the noise, chaos, and ugliness. Shut out completely. 3 months later, late autumn, the top floor office of the Su Group. Beyond the vast floor-to-ceiling window, the sky is high and the clouds are pale. Sunlight bathes half the city. I stand by the window, my hand rests gently on my noticeably rounded belly. The baby is being very good. Occasionally, it gives me a playful little kick. It feels like it's saying hello to me. Miss, Attorney Chen knocked and entered, holding a few documents with a relieved smile on his face. It's all taken care of. He placed the documents on my expansive desk. The court's divorce decree has been issued. Due to the fact of bigamy, your marriage to Zhou Yuchuan is void from the beginning. He has no right to claim any of your premarital assets. The evidence for bigamy is Ironclad, Zhou Yuchuan has been formally charged. The case is still under trial, but him going to prison is a foregone conclusion. As for Lin Wanwan, Lawyer Chen paused, his tone tinged with complexity. The bone marrow transplant ultimately couldn't be performed. After the Zhou family scandal broke, everyone scattered like rats from a sinking ship. No one looked after her anymore. A month ago, she passed away from her illness. I nodded in silence. As for this ending, it was no surprise. Only in my heart a faint, indescribable feeling flickered through me. The Zhou family's company, Lawyer Chen continued, has filed for bankruptcy liquidation due to Zhou Yuchuan's scandal and their cash flow problems. Our Su family took the opportunity to acquire several of their core businesses at a low price, and the integration is proceeding smoothly. Furthermore, he said with a hint of a relieved smile, there's good news from the hospital. The old master's health is recovering well. The doctor says he can be discharged after a bit. More observation, understood. I turned around and took a seat behind the expansive desk. Sunlight fell upon the smooth, solid wood of the desk, warm and bright. Uncle Chen, thank you for your hard work. It's my duty. Lawyer Chen looked at me, his eyes filled with relief and a trace of barely perceptible concern. Young miss, are you all right? I smiled. My gaze fell on a photograph in a frame on the corner of the desk. It was from my childhood. My father was holding me in the garden of the Su family's old house. The sun is shining brightly. The smile is warm. I'm fine, I said softly. Her hand rested on her abdomen once more. She felt the gentle rhythm of new life within. I've never felt better. The office door gave a soft knock. The secretary peeked her head in. Ms. Su, your scheduled prenatal appointment is due. All right, I said. Getting to my feet, I picked up the cashmere shawl draped over the back of the chair, wrapped myself up. Lawyer Chen quickly stepped forward. Shall I see you out? No need. I shook my head, a gentle yet resolute smile appearing on my face. I'll go by myself. Stepping out of the Su Group headquarters building, the autumn sunlight fell upon me. It was warm and soothing. It dispelled the slight chill of late autumn. The street was a constant stream of traffic. Pedestrians hurried along. I cradled my lower abdomen. I walked slowly along the sidewalk, feeling the warmth of the sun, feeling the gentle breeze against my cheek, feeling the little life inside me, the hopeful flutter of life. My phone vibrated. I took it out. It was a text from an unknown number. Su Xiaoya, you're ruthless. You've destroyed me. And you've destroyed Wanwan. I'll be waiting for you in hell. It was Zhou Yuchuan. Through the iron bars of the detention center, a message of impotent rage. I finished reading it with a blank expression. A simple tap, delete, block, like brushing away a speck of dust. Look up. The sun is just right. The sky so blue. I took a deep breath. I stepped forward. I walked toward the car parked by the roadside. I walked toward what was mine, brand new, the future. End of text.